Following my Spyro review, I would like to go through a brief review of all the Saw movies. All
9 of them. All 9.
And I'm not going to go in detail with each installment because these movies don't really have that much to offer. Let's just get the first one out of the way. It is the best one. James Wan and Lee Winnell wrote this and they filmed it and they tried their best to work with the very low budget they had. The first one is my favorite one because it is more story driven and feels more smaller and connected. However, it really doesn't do much for me. The bad characters are kind of obvious to say, like Zepp is a very noticeable character to pick out of the crowd. The twist is pretty good, but overall I wasn't really impressed. Granted, this is a low budget film and it did spark a wide fire into the torture porn genre. I'll give the first Saw a 5 out of 10. I'm very mixed about it. Next up is Saw 2. Saw 2 is very disposable. It really doesn't tell that much. The side story with all the characters going through the traps, all of them are so disposable. The first one, he dies within the first 2 minutes even. We get our first real introduction to the Jigsaw character and he doesn't really stand out. None of the elements of the story really stick out. There's some nice little twists there and there. Some of the traps are pretty cool, but overall this sequel does not really do much. It was just there to make money as it was made the following year, as like every other sequel. Saw 2 gets a 2 out of 10. Saw 3 is the end of the first Saw trilogy, and Saw 3 was a really dumb movie. The main guy, he doesn't save everyone until it's already too late. He does that in every single trap, minus for one character, and that character just dies right away. The main doctor in this movie, she's doing this very stressful surgery on John due to his brain tumor. And after, in a way, she kind of helps him. Like, her story just wraps up in a very useless way. Amanda freaks out for no reason, and we don't know that reason until 3 movies later. And the movie is told in a massive amount of flashbacks. Like with every Saw film, there's a theme to it, but I don't really think they hit the theme until the very end of the movie. Saw 3 for me gets a stupid out of 10. Saw 4 is where we get to the unnecessary trilogy of the Saw franchise. Saw 4 is definitely better with Saw 3, but it introduces my problem with this whole franchise. We get detective characters that we're supposed to follow, and they ended up dying in the next sequel or in the next installment or 2 movies later. The main character's better and some of the traps are pretty rough, but again, it's the same formula and it's so tiring to watch. The same puzzles, you're not tested, willing to live, and then your usual twist at the end. Saw 4 is definitely better than Saw 3, but it is not a good movie. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Saw 5 is the most boring out of all the Saw films. The cop drama was so piss poor. I think it was poorly written. The whole investigation to find out if Hoffman's the Jigsaw killer was kind of lame. It's always just told through flashbacks. Again, like all this other movies. The characters we get for the Saw traps, they're very disposable. They have no place in the movie whatsoever. They're just there for the gore fest. And Saw 5 proves that this is the most useless police department. Again, we have a character who's been established since Saw 3 and then he gets killed off in Saw 5. No real point of following any of these characters. Saw 5 was by far the longest 90 minutes I have ever watched. The movie was dreadfully boring. None of the characters were investing. This film was a big splat on the floor. I'm going to give Saw 5 a 0 out of 10. Saw 6 was surprisingly one of the better movies. And it's not saying that much. I'm just going to put this out of the way. The biggest positive of Saw 6 is the main guy who's going through all the traps. He's a health insurance provider. I do like the whole guy kind of redeeming himself in a way. In his private life, he will kind of screw people who actually need the health insurance policies. And in the traps, he does realize that people who have those same health issues, they deserve a chance to live. I really like that. But besides that, all of it, again, is boring. Saw 6, again, shows the police department is the worst police department ever. Hoffman gets away with ease. No challenge whatsoever. He was going to get killed by the reverse bear trap, but plot armor obviously had to save him. And then that lead us to another sequel. Saw 6 is definitely better, but it's yet not a good film. Not a good film. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Saw 3D. The final chapter. Final chapter, huh? Final chapter. James and Lee, what have you done? Saw 3D is a truly bad movie. This is probably my least favorite of the Saw films. Oh yeah, I forgot. Jill, Jigsaw's wife, she dies like an idiot. She hides and waits till Hoffman finds her. And this whole room of tools and equipment she can use to hit Hoffman, kill Hoffman. I think she had plenty of time to kill Hoffman. She just didn't. And she dies like an idiot. And how did Hoffman capture her? By the worst police department ever. Then Hoffman gets captured by the doctor from the first film. And now there's this cult of followers. And the main character that we're supposed to follow during the Saw traps, he faked surviving a jigsaw puzzle, and then that unfortunately gave us a flashback to Tobin Bell wearing a really ridiculous hat on him. And of course, like almost every other Saw trap, the characters don't really win at the end. This doesn't really feel like a final chapter at all. This is by far the worst of the Saw films, and I'm going to give it an awful out of 10. Jigsaw is number 8 on this list, and it is completely pointless. It is pointless. It does nothing new for the franchise. It's been 7 years, and they've done nothing with it. It's been 7 years and nothing. Nothing at all. I do like the new modern look for it. I do. And that's about it. Because Jigsaw offers nothing. They try their chance at comedy, it doesn't work. They try new characters, it doesn't work. And of course, there's the usual twist, and the movie really tried to be smart with it. Jigsaw gets a 2 out of 10. And you already know my score for Spyro. It is the best looking Saw film. I did like some of the cop drama, but that's mainly associated with Chris Rock. I did like some of the shots and cinematography, but overall, nothing new to this franchise. Again, the movie followed the same usual format. Spyro gets a 4 out of 10. You're probably wondering, what do you think of the overall franchise? As you can tell, I don't like it. Out of all these installments, I'm going to give the overall franchise a 2 out of 10. I'm really not a fan of these movies. They have no plot, barely any characters, or the characters are just terrible, or the characters just killed off in this never-ending saga. But remember, as long as they make money, we'll get more movies. Saw 10. Saw 10's a maybe, though. That'll do it for this franchise review. I've always wanted to do a franchise review of this series. Maybe I'll do more, but that requires a lot of watching. That'll do it for this video. Click on that subscribe and notification bell. More videos will be coming out, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Ha ha ha.